show you who's boss. Yeah. All right, clap! Clap, you stupid people. Happy glorious Thursday. What an amazing show we have for you today. Dana Perino is here. Doesn't she look lovely? But wait, is that really Dana? I mean, it could be. Or it could be a blood-sucking demon. But I guess you'll have to trust me that it's Dana. Fact is, you can't tell, because like the reoccurring zit on my neck, it's covered up. Maybe it's Dana, maybe it isn't. We'll have to see if she tests positive for sugar and spice. You see, I'm being the opposite of transparent, to remind you of our current government. Have you noticed that everything they do these days that turns out bad, illegal, or just infuriating always begins with a cover-up? Whether you were the victim of your boss's unwanted advances at your job in Albany, or had relatives die in a New York nursing home because of horrible decisions, your suspicions are either denied or mocked by the people in power. You might even be called a stupid son of a bitch by a guy who completes sentences as often as I dunk basketballs. The list of deliberate non-transparency is endless, as is my hate for it. The origins of Wuhan? Well, they mocked the lab leak theory, even though the place was breeding more disease than the Playboy Mansion grotto. Gain of function? Never happened. Well, actually, it did, and yeah, it was funded. By whom? Long story. A reoccurring character named Anthony Fauci was involved. How about your risk of dying from COVID? I bet you don't even know your specific risk, even after 2.5 years. And what happened to the rapid testing? How about a rapid answer? No chance. It's like asking a waitress where your drinks are after 20 minutes in a crowded restaurant. Yeah, I know, you'll find out and circle back. Did the supply chain ever get fixed? Hell, even the looters in LA are complaining that the trains are late. And where's Mayor Pete? Is he still lactating? What's Kamala doing? Hell, what's Joe even doing besides napping? So how are we dealing with China? Well, there's COVID, fentanyl, the Uyghurs. Do we know anything? What was in that letter to Putin? A stern warning, a mysterious white powder, $30 for a new shirt? What about crime? Remember when those hate crime stats were everywhere? Then they weren't. Remember when mugshots mattered? Now they're gone. Then as murders spiked, bureaucrats combined violent and non-violent crimes into a lump sum to hide the rise in murder. As if people attacked on subway platforms were thinking, hey, at least this isn't mail fraud. It's more sleight of hand from the people who have blood on theirs. There's Hunter's laptop, of course, something so obviously real, but buried like a murder victim in a crawl space. And if you brought it up, you were the one who couldn't tweet. Joe Biden's business dealings, harder to find than a clean meth pipe in Hunter's car at 2 a.m. And what was Joe's entire election strategy? Not being there. A human embodiment of opaqueness. The less you see of him, the better, because what you see is what you get, and what you get stinks. Figuratively, probably literally. How about voter ID? Tells you who's voting. What's wrong with that? Definitely makes an election less transparent, but the left calls it voter suppression. Yet I've never met someone who doesn't have an ID. Well, if you don't include the 230 illegals who just moved into my town in the middle of the night. Speaking of, check out this new leaked video that shows what we already knew. That in darkness, the feds secretly flew illegal immigrants from the border to communities also kept in the dark about these trips. The tape shows local police confused and surprised by flights landing after the airport closed in breach of security. They're both literally and figuratively being kept in the dark.
You're on a secure facility here, and we don't really know anything, and we're in charge of security. So that's hence where we're having a problem here. So
yeah, we're hanging out here on the tarmac,
yeah.
Just like that.
I don't know anybody.
I used to pick up basketball teams that had more security.
100%. Yeah. You know, and very easily, you know, few people could just go that way.
Yep. Apparently, this flight was just one of many that moved migrants from places like McAllen, El Paso, and Houston. It's a pleasant flight for these mystery passengers. Meanwhile, the rest of us get masked and groped like we're at a Halloween sex party. Not that I mind. It's been a while. And then suddenly the flight stopped when the public found out. So what do these examples have in common? Well, they are deliberately murky. It's not that they're just lying. They're simply making it harder to see what's going on. It's like the dirty lens on my balcony telescope. You know, when I'm looking into the apartments across the way, hoping to see a hot couple making a panini naked. It sucks. Every single thing mentioned remains cloudy in order to hide corruption, incompetence, and worse, hard left ideology. In politics, they say sunlight is the best disinfectant, but to the Biden administration, sunlight has the same effect as it does on vampires. If they don't take cover from it quickly, they will die. Biden's opaqueness preserves him as an empty vessel ready for filling, the contents provided by activists bent on the radical remake. And so everything has to be done out of sight. It's the opposite of magic. It's not now you see it, now you don't. It's you don't see it, now you do, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now watch me pull these illegals out of a van. You can't just wave a wand, however, and make problems disappear. Or can you?
Ugh, all this paperwork. I wish it would disappear forever. Thanks, Magic Man.
Hey, who the hell left all this paperwork for me? This isn't mine. I can see you. You're not invisible. I can see you just punched that man.
I have a really weird staff. The bottom line, the war these days is between shirts and skins, non-transparent and the transparent. No wonder all of these clandestine operators hated Trump so much. He did everything out in the open, and I mean everything. I missed that. But Trump's openness forced them to play along, so they just decided to get rid of him even before day one. And really, that was the only thing transparent about them. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She always lets sleeping dogs lie so she can take 100 photos of them for her Instagram. America's newsroom co-anchor and co-host of The Five, Dana Burrito. He's like a hotel breakfast buffet, served piping hot, but gone by the time you wake up. Fox and Friends first co-host Todd Pyro. She's just what the doctor ordered before they suspended his license. Fox News contributor, Kat Tim. And people gravitate towards him, as do moons, planets, and asteroids. My massive sidekick in the NWA's world champion, television, blah, 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 Tyrus. I almost lose air I lose consciousness during those introductions because it's so much, Dana. My job is so hard compared to yours.
You got it rough. You got it real rough. But you got an audience, and that's great.
3 people. They all work for me. They're scared if they don't clap. I will beat them up. I will physically brutalize them. Dana, what do you make of my brilliant monologue in which I noticed a reoccurring theme in everything, and that theme is opaqueness? I don't think anybody on television has ever noticed that before.
They might not have. I mean, this is a very innovative show, and that's why you got to stay up till 11 p.m. on East Coast time to watch it every night.
Exactly.
There was one other thing that happened just today.
What?
And we've been waiting for this report for several months because there was going to be a big investigation into whether these Border Patrol agents that ride horses were whipping migrants. Remember that?
Yes.
They were benched.
Yes.
They were denigrated. They were told they couldn't work. They were told they were racist.
Right.
And there's going to be a big investigation. Well, guess what? Report might never come out. And the government said that today.
Yeah.
So it's just another example in this. And the media, they just make it so much worse for Biden. I don't think that the Biden team realizes that the more the media hides all of this, the worse it is for them.
Right, right. And the reason they can't do the report because it'll embarrass them. So it's like it's like a second level of non-transparency, but just canceling the report.
But if they had just come out and said, wow, did we get that wrong?
Right.
We had I've never left Greenwich, Connecticut, and I'm really sorry that I had no idea what it's like to be on a horse.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. In a way, I think that even the Border Patrol agents were like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But instead, what they've done is they've just tried to walk away from it, and the media's letting them do it.
Of course, because they let every one of these mishaps go. Todd, did they really think that we would never find out about these immigrant flights? I mean, doing it at the dead of night, it's kind of insulting. I mean, you're the only person up.
Right. Literally, I'm the only human in America.
Yes. Why didn't you break this story?
I should have been there.
Yeah.
I should have been there when this happened.
You know what? You weren't Fox and Friends first. You were Fox and Friends last.
Ouch. Ouch. That hurts, Greg.
But to your question, Greg,
Yes.
no, they didn't think they'd get caught.
Yeah.
They never think that they're going to get caught. Did Hunter think he'd get caught? Did anybody in that sphere, and it's not just the Biden administration, it's the entire Democrat political machine. They do things, and either one, they don't think they're going to get caught, or two, they think the American people are too stupid, or three, that the media is going to cover up for them. And quite frankly, all three have been happening for so much of our lifetime, and as a result, we're in the situation that we're in, and it's not good. Why? To your point, Dana, why is nobody else talking about this? This is a really big deal. People being dropped off in your community, yet nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. There's like now almost, I think, according to I'm considered the source, the Republican Party. I got the little email, 500,000 gotaways. That's what they call them, gotaways. They're here, they got away, and I do believe. Like almost all of them are law-abiding, but I think you got to just know who these people are. Tyrus, why the opaqueness? You live a very transparent life. You tell everybody what's going on in your life.
I don't tell anybody anything you do.
Yes.
You're always telling on me, always checking up on me. You know, it's funny, they used to talk about draining the swamp.
Yeah.
The swamp is deep now, and it's just mucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know what they thought. They made their entire point of being was to expose everything the previous administration did. It was, the White House was a glass house, and everyone had a front row seat. We saw everything. We saw how he answered the phone, how he sat in his desk, what he did first, how many papers he read in a day. And you think you can go back. The American people started watching politics like people watch sports.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to go back to nothing to see here, the Wizard of Oz. We gotta count cows and make sure people have masks on.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the country is falling apart, and I know somebody was put in charge of this border situation. Who? What? Oh, what? Cat? What was that? It's like second. The vice president. Yes, the vice president was put in charge. She was the czar, right? What is she called? The czar of the border. So all they did was go 24 hours, but I can't get a red eye to get home out of New York. That would be nice.
Yes.
But we can't do that because it's not, it's unfair because of the security risks and stuff. But apparently, if you don't have citizenship, it's almost better in this country. You get vaccines, trips to anywhere you want in the country.
Yeah, you get dropped off.
Medicaid.
They find out
food
where
stamps.
where your relatives are, and I guess they pick a place where they drop you off, and then the bus takes you there. I wish I knew this happened when I was in college. I would have saved so much money, Kat. Think of all the money you save on flights if you just go to the border and then tell them that your family lives in Detroit and they might fly you there. Although, and you could look. Anyway, I was gonna say something. Don't you kind of like miss Trump where we learned everything all the time in real time and it was kind of exhausting? That I learned about stuff that I never thought I would learn because he would ask these crazy questions and people would have to answer them.
People were certainly paying more attention, and obviously I have a different view on immigration than probably everyone here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do, and I think it's great. I think we need more of it. I think any nonviolent person who wants to contribute to our economy should be able to do so.
Yeah, you're conflating two things. I actually agree, so does Dana. You're conflating the idea of
You're right, I was done talking.
No, I'm saying, but you said that you might have a different opinion. I'm saying you don't.
Well, okay, then a lot of people do. Then a lot of people, I'm not a Republican on this issue at all. And people will sometimes, say to me like, well, do you want them all at your house, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, depends on the night, But no, last night my husband was working late. I was so bored. I would have had many migrants over. It would have been great. But the problem is, of
Those
course,
poor migrants.
They would leave, just like everyone does. Because they bragged about being the most transparent administration in history. And it's nothing close to that. When you're doing secret nighttime flights that's not transparency at all.
Yeah.
And then it hurts the people who want to have more legal immigration.
Absolutely.
It hurts getting to that result.
That was what I was getting. I didn't mean to jump on you about that. What I was trying to say is that, I really want healthy immigration, but it gets conflated. Like, every time you get mad about this stuff, somebody goes, oh, you're racist, or you don't want these are the people that wash your dishes. They go, yeah, I want them to wash my dishes, except that we're taking advantage of them, and the border states are getting screwed. The border states are dealing with this problem, but New York is getting all
I think everyone who's nonviolent wants to contribute to the economy should come. I don't think there should be a limit.
I think, though, that you can actually count. Like, if you got engineers to count how many people you would need, it would be actually, how many do you need this year? How many do you need next year? It's, really easy, but we don't do that. So I just think I just solved the problem.
Ta-da!
Yeah, all right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.